And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. We are really sorry for the inconveniences, guys. We are back, and we are back. Sorry, guys, for the connection. I just hope that the connection is also good right now. Sorry, we had a lot of things to do when it comes to connectivity. Sorry sana. We apologize to everybody. Karibuni sana again. Thank you for the love. Thank you for coming again through. Manze. I can see love. Asanteni sana, each and everyone. Manze. Thank you so much. I see so many people coming into our live. We are waiting for Radull to come back to our live after the thing with connectivity. So yeah, and guys, if you can see, our Wi-Fi is okay back tena. Kama Wi-Fi yetu iko back tena, unaweza nipia tu emoji kama unaniona vizuri. If you can see me clearly, everybody, if you can see me well, just just show me some love. Yeah. Yes. With Radull, we had spoken a lot about sports, about Congestina and meeting Congestina. We've spoken about Jazza study. We've spoken a lot about sports, but we were just continuing before the hish. So we're just waiting for her to come to our live. I can see that our live is actually clear right now, right? We have sorted the issue and we are back. Asanteni sana, everybody. Let me give some shout outs to people. Yeah. Let me see before I see. Let me see whether she has connected. Let me see. Okay, sawa. Kuna mtu Paris anasema mrembo uko smart. Thank you so much. Vicky, I see you. So many people. Asanteni sana. We are waiting for Radull to come to our live again. It was an amazing live. We had spoken a lot, but we were in the middle of speaking, and we are continuing with our live. So yes, we will be speaking to her in a few. Yeah. Let me see some of the people that have requested to go live with us. Let me see. So many people. Guys, we're just waiting for Radull to come to our live. So so many people requesting to go live with us, guys. Just tulieni tafadhali, tulieni sana. We're just waiting for that one particular person to come to our live. That's Radull. We had started the live, we paused it, and now we are about to go live again. So asanteni sana. I can see Cool Kid Kenyan na kucheki Abenawenzi. Thank you for welcoming me back. Debra, Samuel, Mrs. Kingori, Jemo, Emmanuel. Okay, I can see Carol now. We are go live with her again. Guys, we are sorry. We are very sorry. Very sorry. So, hi.
And we're back.
Yes, we are back. We are really sorry. Can you see me now?
I can see you and it's clear.
Yes, thank you so much for being patient with us and understanding.
No worries. I know Kenyan networks. You can't rely on them, on it.
Yes.
It happens all the time.
Yeah. And actually, the question that I was asking you was, when, CS Amina, if CS Amina is picked for the WTO job, who would be the near perfect person you'd consider, in your opinion, would be the best to take up her position?
That is a question I'm not going to answer because I do not know enough people enough to know what is in their closet.
Yes.
And if I made a recommendation here and now, and then they find out something else, then it'll be, see, this is a person Radull thought could do the job. So it's a tricky question to ask. All I know is it needs to be somebody passionate about sport. But for me, when it comes to the sport industry, to the sport ministry, sorry, I think our government already has it wrong by mixing sport, youth, and culture and heritage. It's a very long title. I never get it right. Because I think each of those deserve their own respect. As much as sport is entertainment and work, and say music is entertainment and work, why are we just putting it in one pot? Equally, culture, heritage side deserves its own attention. Sport deserves its own attention. And I think the problem is our government tends to try and balance. Like if you remember when we had Hassan Wario as the CS, his background was all in the museums. So he was qualified for one half of the ministry. And then you're trying to force him to also do the other half of the ministry. So can you really fault somebody who doesn't have a passion for both? Because not everybody who has passion for sport has passion for music and culture and all those other things. But it needs to be somebody who has passion, somebody who is, I think, somebody like Amina, if you've met her, she's actually has integrity. She means well. She's a good manager. She's a diplomat. She's actually a good person. But you need somebody who's focused at least on the sport side of things. So first and foremost, I would divide the ministries, which I don't think is going to happen. And then you find somebody who's passionate in sport, but is also educated, because sometimes you can have the passion, but you don't really know how to strategize. Because remember, again, this is a management job. It's not Radull shouting and making noise on radio and posting what she wants on social media, you know. It's a management job. So you also need a professional in a different way. So it's so tough to say if Amina gets a WTO job, who's best placed. I can't answer that.
Yeah. and by the way, the last previously I had asked whether you'd really want to be a sports CS, and you said no. But then what would you different if that would have been yes? What would you have done different? It's a no right now, but it was a yes.
Do you know, first and foremost, it's very hard for whoever you put in the sports ministry to perform, simply because the government as a whole doesn't see the seriousness of sport. In this year's budget, I think we got almost 14 billion shillings in this year's budget. Of that, about 5 billion immediately goes into the infrastructure that they've been promising us for almost 8 years now. And then you leave 9 billion or so. We have more than 70 federations in this country. Those are almost 70 national teams that need funding, because at least the funding of the national teams should go under the government, as much as federations also need to work to try and get sponsorship for these national teams. So until the national government realizes that sport is an industry like mining, like agriculture, something that can bring revenue and create jobs for this country, it doesn't really matter who you put in there. They're going to find it very difficult to work. So the government as a whole just needs to know that sport is not for fun. It's work. It's people's jobs, you know. So take it like that. Take it as an industry. Yeah.
And of course, the English Premier League is over, right?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with Arsenal's performance at number 8?
I saw that question, and I actually tried to answer that question when your network was playing around. Of course, I'm not satisfied with Arsenal being at number 8, but having watched the league, we didn't deserve a better position. So I can't just say, no, Arsenal deserved to be in the top 4. They did not. They didn't earn the right to be in the top 4. We still have a serious consistency problem at Arsenal. Today we beat, you beat the Man Cities and the Liverpools of this world, and tomorrow you can't even beat a team that's in the relegation zone, you know? So lack of consistency is such a problem at Arsenal. Until that is sorted, we deserve what we got. We're lucky we turned up for the FA Cup final, which means at least we get to play Thursday night football. But Europa is not where a team like Arsenal should be. A team like Arsenal should be in Champions League. A team like Arsenal should be winning titles. We haven't won the league since 2003-04 season, our big invincible season. That's more than 15 years since Arsenal held a Premier League trophy, a Premier League title. That's embarrassing. We're a big club. We need to behave like it.
Then what about Man U and Chelsea in 3rd and 4th places?
Let's just say the teams in 1st and 2nd did the work to finish 1st and 2nd. Liverpool deserved the title. Man City deserved to come in 2nd. Had Man City been more consistent in the first half of the season, they probably would have defended their title that they won the other season. Manchester United are good that after this long shutdown and break, they came back with form like you can't believe. You know, Manchester United, I think before the break, if I'm not wrong, they were around 7th or 8th, and then they came back with the same players, mind you. So it's not like people had time to buy players and get rid of other players. They came back with a different attitude and with good form and earned that. Chelsea, likewise, were fortunate to finish in 4th. And I think it's more because Leicester City is one of those teams from January have just been out of form. So Leicester City actually fell out of the top 4. So Chelsea were lucky enough to just clinch that 4th position. But for me, you deserve where you finish because it's a long season. It's 38 games. So it's not wham, bam, you won one game, you know. It means you were consistent over 38 games. So I can't argue with how the standings turned out. I just hope that Arsenal will come back with a better plan next season.
Yes, somebody here is saying Arsenal is safe in Arteta's hands. But if you are Mikel Arteta, who would you drop?
Half the back line, literally, because we are very good forward. But our defense is really shaky. As much as I respect David Luiz because he's a really big player and we know what he can do, I just think he's over the hill, as in his best days as a defender are over. He can turn up for 1 or 2 games. Like Man City, I literally tweeted that he's earned his salary in this Man City game. David Luiz got Arsenal almost into the final of FA Cup. Well, not by himself, but he did quite a bit to ensure that we had a good game against Man City. So he can't be like our first team defender, maybe a power sub or something like that, you know. But generally, we're very shaky at the back. We're very shaky in the midfield. Up front, we have good strikers, but we can't even make offers like Aubameyang. We don't know if he's going to be there next season. Mara is in, Mara is out. If we lose him, I think we're in a bit of a trouble. We have young players like Saka who are developing and coming through the ranks. Not yet 90-minute players, but they do extremely well. But it would be good if Saka grows a bit before we even risk losing somebody like Aubameyang. So right now, I think we just need to focus on who we're keeping, who's performing, who we're keeping. But we need to do something about the back line.
Yeah. Somebody here wants to know some of the legends you've met, some of the Arsenal legends you've met, and those that you dream to meet as well.
You know, there's a show I was doing last night for fans and I wore my Dreamcast jersey. Dreamcast were the sponsors in around 2000 during our Invincible season, 2003-04. And it's actually autographed by Canu. It's autographed by Rob Perez, French. It's autographed by Thierry Henry as well. And they autographed when I was wearing it. So those are some of the legends I've met. Of course, those are opportunities I hold dear. I consider myself very blessed to have met some of those Arsenal legends. There are others I've met, like Man City legends. I met Adebayo the week he left Arsenal and joined Man City. So that was very mixed feelings there. That was during some tour in in South Africa. And then I got to meet some Man City legends as well, Manchester United legends. I've worked with some at Supersport. So I consider myself blessed, because these are people who have been on at the top of their game. People like making fun every time I put photos of Gary Bailey and Peter Schmeichel, because they were both Manchester United goalkeepers. And I'm like, I don't care which team they are in. These are legends. These are legends that you die to meet and die to interact with. So there are a few I've met, but I consider myself blessed in that way.
Yeah. And also back here in Kenya, do you think any sport is going to be played this year?
That's a trick question. About 2 weeks ago, I hosted the CAS for sports. That's like Amina's assistant. And of course, he gave me the paperwork political answer that we've sent out questionnaires. We're doing our research. We have a committee that is looking into the issue of sport returning. And if I think we will see some sports returning before the end of the year. I don't think there will be the team sports, because we don't exactly have the resources to like test all our football players, test all our rugby players, and then even though you test them, you have to watch what they do when they go home, because it's one thing to test people, but what happens when they go home and then tomorrow come back and then they have to play, because these are contact sports. So it's so risky with our COVID numbers going up to say, let's just bring back sport. But I hope some of the other sports like racket games and stuff like that. People are calling me from the office. Racket games and stuff like that. Sports where you don't have to have physical contact with other people. I hope we can bring back some of those sports before the end of the year. I think we will be able to, but Kenyans need to take COVID-19 seriously so that we flatten the curve. Because right now they're going up. And I'm afraid to leave my house, It's touch. Every time I leave, it's all touch and go. I come back and I'm like, my throat. Is it, you become so paranoid with symptoms and stuff like that. So we need to take COVID-19 seriously before we can talk of bringing back sport properly. But I hope we get to see some sports coming back. But I don't think we need to rush anything. Let's rather be safe.
Yeah, and of course, the coronavirus has really hit the sporting industry, right? Yeah.
The coronavirus has hit every single industry. Sport. I feel so sorry for sports people. I feel sorry for musicians, for DJs, people who rely on crowd-like events, to earn their living. So it's hit sport badly. I know the chairman of Mathare United, for example, he's had to go and speak to landlords of his players because they're about to evict the players who've not paid rent for several months. And unfortunately for sport, they don't even earn enough to have a buffer when your finances are cut off, So it's one thing to say, save money for a rainy day. What are you saving when you're living hand to mouth, So many of our sports people are suffering right now. I know the government tried, they gave some of them 10,000 a month, but when your rent alone is slightly more than that, what are you eating? You have families, you have your mother in shags who you look after, you have so many responsibilities. And it's affecting all our sportsmen and women. It's affecting our artists. It's affecting, I saw a story today that one of our biggest hotels has given the workers a 45-day notice, the hotel industry. I have friends in the hotel industry who said from March they've been on 50% salaries, and it looks like, we saw this morning that hotel is going to lay off it's shutting down. One of the biggest and oldest hotels in Nairobi is shutting down. It's every industry that's been affected. I know there have been initiatives to try and help some of the sport families, because that is the area I'm in. Musa Otieno, who thankfully recovered from COVID-19, he has an initiative he's been running to support slum families and families of footballers in Eastlands. And every time he can, he shares his flyer with me. I share with other people. I know since he's recovered from COVID, he hasn't been as active naturally because he needs to get well first. So there are some initiatives, but we'll raise money until, and it's affecting all of us.
Yeah.
You and I, you know, we also have our 30% pay cuts, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's tough for everybody. And yes, it's tough for the sports industry because they're not working. They're literally just keeping fit. What else can they do at this time?
Yeah, yeah. I can see people asking me what football team I support. I run from one team to another. Anyway, which is...
Kalonda, you can't. You can't. But you run from one team to the other, depending on who's doing well.
Yes.
So who's your team now? Arsenal, the FA Cup. Come to Arsenal.
Yes,
come.
Yes, right now. I will.
Come, and you stay. If you want to support Arsenal, you have to have a really tough heart and tough soul, and be able to weather the tough times.
And I have to be very, very strong to support Arsenal. Anyway, who is your favorite KPL footballer?
Currently or past? It's tricky. That's a trick question. Because most
of all time. Let's say of all time.
Okay, that's a tough question. That's a tough question. For now, let me say probably Michael Olunga, because at least it's a name you will recognize. But there are so many who played before him who were fantastic. You can go as far back as the 80s and 90s and whatever. But probably in recent times, Michael Olunga, because he's taken that form and he's continued with that form on the international scene. But it's so hard to say who's your favorite player, Kenyan player. That's such a hard question. There are so many.
Yes.
We have the Wanyamas, we have Marikas, we have Dennis Oliech, we have players who've performed so well, Jesse Were, there are just so many. And I wish everybody knew who they were, because that's another problem we have in this country. We're not really interested in our own football and footballers like we should be.
Yeah. Like a sad thing, right?
It's unfortunate because as fans, especially, like when Harambe Stars is playing, if they do badly, we're so quick to criticize them, to go on social media, to say all sorts of things about them.
Yeah.
But you don't know their hustle. You don't know what they're doing behind closed doors. And it's the same with our rugby team. You know, we don't know, we don't help to groom our players. We don't help to build them. But when they do wrong, we're so quick to say, Harambe Stars did poorly. Have you ever been there for any Harambe Stars player, you know? When he's hustling in the league, when he's hustling with his team, are you there for these players? The same with rugby sevens. And I was interviewing Collins Injera the other day, and he said they're unfortunately used to the bad backlash when they do poorly, but it's unfair when Kenya Sevens do well, Team Kenya. When they do poorly, look at these useless people, you know.
Yeah.
And yet, if the team walked in here today, you wouldn't even recognize them. So we need to give more focus to our own sport.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, to our own football, to our own rugby.
Yeah.
Okay, are you still searching for network?
No. Not at all.
But then my comments are frozen. I can't even see the comments going up. It's frozen on some people's comments.
Oh, you can see some of the comments here?
No, they're freezing. My comments are frozen. But I can see you clearly.
Oh, okay.
So you can read them.
And?
Yeah. No. I was saying you can read the comments. I can hear you, but I can't see them. They're frozen.
Somebody asked me to ask you, you know, what your opinion is. You know, in 2013, we were promised 5 stadiums. And right now, people, it's like they are renovating the current stadiums. What is your opinion on that?
First, let me laugh. Do you know, can we stop? First of all, can we stop believing our politicians, especially during a campaign? I would rather a politician tells me now, I'm going to build you a stadium. If he's telling me in the run-up to a campaign, it's lies. Can we first accept that? It's lies. We're used to being lied to, especially when people are campaigning. Those 5 stadiums, I have a video somewhere where they became 8 or 9. And I'm like, first of all, we want a stadium. We don't want a pitch. In Kenya, apart from, I think, Kinoru and Kasarani. And Kasarani still needs a lot of work. Apart from Kinoru and Kasarani, we have pitches. Nyayo Stadium, I'm waiting to see it when it opens. I hear it's really good on the inside. So if we're lucky, we'll have Kinoru, Kasarani, and Nyayo. That's shame on a country like Kenya. All the others are pitches. I saw them breaking ground the other day in Kisumu for a new stadium in Kisumu. I'm keeping my fingers crossed because we're so good at breaking ground, and then we put a perimeter fence, and 4 years later, we're still crying like the Nyeri Stadium. But if we're building stadiums, can we please build stadiums? And we're promised state of the art, by the way. Not just a stadium, we're promised state of the art. And you're so right. They're renovating existing infrastructure and taking so long to do it in the process. I don't know what's happened with the Dandora Stadium. The Dandora Stadium was not that bad. Then I hear the guys just downed their tools over payment. I don't know all the details. You can probably ask, I'm sure someone there in the office can ask Sonko since it was his project. And that would have been nice. But even that is not what you would call a national stadium, maybe a county pitch. Even Machakos is like a county, it's a pitch, you sit on Chuma. We need stadiums. Stadium with seats and numbers and organization, and we need electronic ticketing, which clubs have refused to adopt. We need, there's so many things you need when you're building a state-of-the-art stadium. I mean, I've been fortunate enough, I've gone for the Bundesliga, I've gone for the World Cup in Germany, the World Cup in SA, I've watched Premier League games, and what they consider average is what we want to do as a state-of-the-art. We need to pull up our socks. And we as Kenyans need to stop being lied to. Those state-of-the-art, I'm still waiting for state-of-the-art. Even Kinoru, it's just a really nice stadium, which they only opened for a national event, for a government, which event was it? Was it Jamhuri Day or something? They opened these stadiums for such, like even Nyayo. It was open for an event and then closed for football. So it also beats the purpose. We need our stadia for sport when they eventually do open.
And it should be, as you said, state of the art. It's just like kitu tu imetengenezwa tu anyway.
Do you know, in 2009, some journalists, I was fortunate enough to go to South Africa for about 2 weeks for the Vodacom Challenge. That was Man City versus Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates. And they took us around. They were developing, it was a year before the World Cup, so they were developing their stadia for the World Cup. And there was, the Vodacom Challenge was being played in the old stadiums because the new stadiums next door were being spruced up for the World Cup. I'm telling you, Kalondu, those old stadiums are better than what we are calling state-of-the-art. There's a stadium in Durban, it's called the Shark Tank. It was actually built for rugby first, but they used to use it for football before they built the pretty new one next door for football. The Shark Tank is better than any stadium here in Kenya. Yet that was being disposed of because they were building a nicer one. So what we call state-of-the-art, almost every high school, not even university, high school in South Africa has. And this is South Africa. I'm not even going to Europe yet. So we need to pull up our socks if we're serious about developing infrastructure for sporting events. We're jokers. We are jokers.
Wow. Hey, Manze, we need to up our game. Anyway,
we need to up our game.
Yes. And of course, somebody here is asking what your best sporting moment is or are.
Hey, that's a hard one.
You have many?
My best sporting moment. You can't have one. Probably when Arsenal won the season unbeaten, but that's so long ago. That's a barely remembered sporting moment. I mean, going for any, unfortunately, international event, I should be saying, watching Harambe Stars at Kasarani play so-and-so should be my best sporting event. But usually when I go to Kasarani, if you don't have tickets for VIP, make sure you've carried some newspaper, because you need something to sit on. You know,
Yes.
it's unfortunate. I should be saying my best sporting moment has happened here in Kenya, but unfortunately it hasn't. It's probably one of the World Cup experiences. I remember watching when Ghana beat USA in the 2006 World Cup in Germany. I was in the stadium and nobody gave Ghana a chance of advancing to the next stage, but they did.
Yeah.
Other big sporting moments have been on TV. I mean, the same Ghana, this is not really a good sporting moment. It's probably the opposite, when the whole of Africa was behind Ghana getting into the semis of the World Cup in 2010, and they didn't because of that missed penalty. So that's on the flip side.
Yeah.
Internationally, because Harambe Stars, well, we went to AFCON last year, and I was in Cairo supporting them. It was good to see them beat Tanzania, by the way. I remember that was a good sporting moment. Yes. In Cairo last year.
Yeah.
But there's so many, because I also support so many sports. I'm a Roger Federer fan. Every time he wins something, I'm celebrating. But these should be Kenyans. I should be saying Michael Kamau, you know, won Wimbledon. That's why I'm celebrating. Unfortunately, we're left supporting international. When you want to watch the biggest events of the world, you end up supporting some supporting international players or international teams. Wow, I sound like there's no hope for Kenya, eh? But there is. There is, because there are people who care.
Yeah.
I keep saying I'm lucky I have a microphone. There are people who don't have such a loud microphone, but who care.
Yeah.
So because there's some people who care, hope is not lost for Kenyan sport. Yeah. But it's hard. It's like supporting Arsenal. You really have to kaza.
And somebody here is saying you have very good points and you should share some of these points with the Ministry of Sports.
Actually, I did 2 weeks ago when I interviewed the CAS, Amina's assistant. He ended up taking so many notes. He was sitting there with a notebook like this, like, thank you. And I'm like, okay, who's who here? You know?
Yeah.
But he promised to look into certain things. Yeah. In fact, I need to get in touch with him because he promised that he would facilitate the Jaza study team at some point to visit all the stadia in Kenya so that we can give a report to Kenyans. Not from the government who gives us stories, but so that we could tell Kenyans these are the stadiums being developed, this is the condition they're at. But unfortunately, I interviewed him and I didn't feel like, I felt like there were a lot of good plans, but there were not a lot of good things that had actually been done. So you've just reminded me that I need to follow up with him because I need to follow up on the notes I gave him.
He took notes. Anyway.
At this point, I need to send him an invoice.
Yes, of course. Yes, that was what I was about to say, actually. Yeah? He needs to pay you for doing that. He needs to pay you. I love this. I love this sport of ours so much that I would give some of these recommendations for free, you know. I just want to see sport developed. Yeah. And right now, do you think the Ladies' League is being supported by the government?
No, but also leagues are not supposed to be supported by the government. Maybe that's a misconception people have.
Yeah.
Government support, government's job is infrastructure and national teams mostly. Leagues are supposed to be under the federations. This federation, women's football, it's a few light years behind men's football, which is unfortunate because even men's football has its challenges.
Yeah.
As much as I have issues with the current FKF office, they have done some. I mean, at least nowadays we see that Harambe Starlets play international sports. They're winning tournaments. They're going for international friendlies. So there has been some progress. I don't think it's anywhere near enough. The women's league is also going. There is also a women's league that happens. Unfortunately, it has no sponsorship. Most of their games have free entry, so you're literally playing for the love of the game, which I put in almost all my hashtags. It's for the love of the game. But here are women who'd love to play football full time, you know. They'd love to have football pay their bills. But unfortunately, they love football so much that they play for free. They don't get anything out of the game. So the federation needs to do more in trying to get sponsorship for these women's teams, trying to brand and market these women's teams, trying to sell these women's leagues to the fans as well, so that we can also go and we can see value in paying that 100, 200 shillings to actually watch these women play. Because it's a cycle, you know. And one of the things we were hoping to do as just a study before the season was cut short thanks to COVID is we wanted to have an activation at a women's team. And we'd spoken to a team in Thika, and we're planning that we're going to go and do a just a study activation in Thika to give some attention to the women's league as well. Unfortunately, the lockdowns happened and football was put on hold. But everybody who cares about the game, and this is what we advocate as just a study, you know. Yes, we can put the sport ministry to task, we can put the federations to task. If you are a fan, ask yourself what you are doing. Are you going for the games? Are you paying to enter the games, you know? Are you sharing flyers when there are events, when there are these talk shows? Are you sharing flyers? Are you watching them? Are you making an effort to try and get to know what's happening in the local game? And people criticize and say, oh, but the Kenyan Premier League is not as entertaining as the EPL. The quality of football is not that good. But it will never grow unless some of us decide, you know what, it's ours. We're going to support it anyway. That's what we need. That's what we need. We need enough people saying, I'm going to support this league anyway. And I remember probably one of the last activations we had before COVID hit, I think the second last, was in Kisumu. And we had, we got Jalango to MC for us. We got all these artists, Steve K, because it was an AFC Leopards and Kisumu All-Stars game. We had another Luo artist. We had DJs come in and play. And it was a great event. And I wish COVID never happened, because we were on such a roll, and it would have been nice to get into a women's, to take all the same team, you know. Imagine taking the Jalangos of this world and the Chris Darlings to play, and all these people to go to a women's game in Thika and put up a show and celebrate these women, let them feel appreciated, you know. Because it's never going to grow until all of us say, you know what, I need to do something. And it could be as simple as sharing a flyer on social media, as simple as going for a 90-minute game. You know, we're not asking for too much.
So guys, let's buy those tickets. Let's go for those games. So many people asking your opinion on the new KPL sponsorship.
I can't comment because I have not independently verified the betting partner for KPL. So I can't really comment. If indeed that money is coming in, it's fantastic. I can't authoritatively say anything about a company I don't independently know. But I'm a bit wary about the timing of the announcement, because remember, this FKF office that has brokered this deal, they should have been gone, or rather the election should have happened. Maybe they would have come back, maybe they wouldn't have. So during an election period, to announce a sponsorship like that, what happens if Nick Mwendwa and his team are not re-elected? Will this deal stay with the KPL? You know, those are some of the questions I have about the timing of the announcement. So I think they should have waited until the elections, but I don't know whether it's an election ploy, maybe it's genuine. There are just too many questions around it for me to say good stuff. But if the money comes, I'll be happy. If players get paid, I'll be happy. You know, last year we had a team relegated because they missed 3 fixtures. If you get 3 walkovers, you're relegated. Sonny Sugar was relegated. I don't know if the team would still come back. Because of lack of finances. We had another team that had already missed 2 games because of lack of funds. If they miss a 3rd game, they'd also be relegated. I mean, that shouldn't be happening in our Premier League. But if money's coming, I'm all for money coming. I'm not for it being a campaign ploy, you know. So, fingers crossed.
Yes. And
or is it prayers? It's prayers. I need the prayer emoji.
Prayers. Yes, the prayer emojis. Guys, put the prayer emojis. And of course, a question that I always really usually ask people, you know, all that, having done all these and more that you're gonna do, what exactly do you want to be remembered for, Radull?
Oh gosh, are you putting me in my grave already?
No. Oh my God.
First and foremost,
yeah.
I'm not even doing this to be remembered.
Yeah.
I'm probably doing this because having supported international football teams for so long,
yes,
and seeing the potential of football as an industry, and then having interacted with local football players and seeing the contrast in the earnings, in how they live, in how they're managed, and everything, it touched a chord in me. And I was like, why can't we be like them? What is stopping us from having an industry where our players drive big cars, live in big houses, are appreciated by the fans and adored? Because they entertain us, you know. That's why we get so emotional about Arsenal. They entertain us, they make us smile, they make us laugh. We make friends because of the teams we support. So the gap between them and us is just so big. And I ask myself, why can't it happen here? So I just made a personal decision that I would do whatever I can to try and at least leave the football industry and several other sports better than I found them, for nothing, you know. I mean, people don't even know that sport is something I do for fun. I have a 9-to-5 job that has nothing to do with sports. You're in Radio Africa, you know that. Sport is what I do in my spare time. That is what people don't even know. But I know too much now, and I know too many sports people to give up or to stop trying to fight for a better life for these sport people. I also see the potential of employment in a sport industry. Our government keeps saying the youth are our focus, employment is our focus, and then you come up with these mtaani programs. They're good because I know people who've been employed in them. But why can't you say, I'm going to fix the sport industry? I'm going to employ millions of Kenyans. Kalondu, I went for a game in the Bundesliga and I saw how match day is an industry. You know, you get there in the morning, there's so many people there, all working, from security to the people selling hot dogs, to the people in the fan shops, to the groundsmen, to the, they have restaurants because they have proper stadiums, you know. They have so many people involved in match day, the players, the agents, the lawyers, the receptionists, the drivers. There's so many people who can be employed around the football industry. So I don't see why we still keep saying, hakuna jobs. We're going to, where are you going to create jobs in the same? I met somebody the other day. I went to Lucky Summer to see some kids there, and they all want to be journalists. And I tell them, if you want to be journalists, first of all, focus on online right now and focus on doing your thing. We all know how this industry is suffering. You're in it, I'm in it, Kalondu. People keep sending me job applications. I'm like, I don't even know if I'll have a job in 3 and 6 months, you know, because this industry has also been affected by COVID. But it's also an industry that's mainstream media is yes, it's still consumed to an extent, but by the time you graduate, and the girls I was talking to were between, I think the oldest was 19, the youngest was about 12. I told them, by the time this 12-year-old graduates, you're not going to get a mainstream job, you know? So plan for that. But here you are, she played football. She should be saying, I want to be a footballer. But she's like, no, I play football, but I want to be a journalist. Because they've seen that's where the glamour is. Yet, sports can employ hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. They don't all have to be players. They can be the marketing team, the public relations team, photographers, camera people, Super Sport, when they used to be here, it was a mini industry on match day, you know. We used to have 17 camera shoot, and a 17 camera shoot needs about 40 or 50 people because you have the guys pulling the cables and the sound people and the director and all these people in the van and the drivers and all this stuff happening. So I know too much now about the sport industry to say I'm going to leave it alone, because the potential I've seen is so great. And we're just, I don't know why our government can't open their eyes and see that if they just fixed the sport industry, give us those stadiums, support the national teams, You know, in other countries like Nigeria, if a company sponsors a KPL side, for instance, they're given tax rebates, you know, for sponsoring KPL side, for sponsoring league teams. So why can't our government come and say, you know what, we don't have money to support the football industry, but if you sponsor Gor Mahia, I'm giving you a discount of this much in tax. If you sponsor, instead that they're fighting the betting industry, who seem to be the only people investing in our sport. Then they form the sports fund, which unfortunately it's money that's collected and the money goes to the national treasury and it's divided into health and education, and sports gets a little bit. So now I'm getting emotional.
You talk with such passion when it comes to sports.
The potential hurts, you know. It's like looking at potential and somebody is, for a lack of a better word, SHITTING on it, you know, and it's infuriating. It's infuriating, and I don't know what we're going to do about it. I just encourage those who are in the game, those who do something for the game, my colleagues at Jaza Study, those who have platforms that are promoting local sport. Those are the people who just need to stick with it, you know. The journalists who are writing about local sports, we just need to stick with it. And then the fans, if you really, really care, do your part. You know, stop asking for a complimentary for a ticket that's 100 bob or 200 bob, you know. Pay to go and watch games. There are people who will buy a ticket and go and watch Manchester United in Old Trafford. And then when Harambe Stars game is 1,000 bob, you're saying, 1,000, you know. It's unfair. We're two-faced. We are so two-faced. Yeah.
And there's a lot of love on the comment section. People are loving you so much.
Oh, thank you. Madam, mine is frozen. I can't see the comment section.
Yes, we can't like read all the comments right here, but people are loving you, and people are heartbroken that you can't, you know, get to vie for a seat in the like a sporting seat or something. People are so heartbroken.
Do you know, maybe if the leadership of this country becomes one that cares about sport, I may reconsider. But the support for sport, especially from a ministerial point, has to come from the top leadership. And I just ask everybody, I will never tell you how to vote, but when you're voting, vote for things you care about. You know, Kenyans, we have a problem. We vote tribally, or we vote because of my relas and stuff like that. If you see the way Americans vote, if I am a farmer, I will vote for somebody who's giving me discounts for fertilizer, you know. If I am a musician, I will look for somebody who's defending my rights, you know. But you'll find sports people... Surely we were told 5 stadium in the first term, and we believed it even again in the second term. So we are also our own worst enemy sometime. So for me, the top has to care about sport for me to even think that there's a chance. But nobody has even offered me any position. So let me just stop even thinking that.
And of course, we appreciate you for supporting the sports, the Kenyan sport especially, and you are loved. We love you. You can see on the comment section.
Thank you, Kalondu. Thank you.
That love you, and we really appreciate. Also, we appreciate for having time for us to talk about sports.
Thank you, and thanks for inviting me. Tell Karen Nyota I'm her biggest fan. You know. When I'm actually the person who hired her like 7 years ago or so, and she told me, you know what, I want to focus a lot on sport as well, and the other side of sport. I want to talk about the celebrity side of sport and give a bit of the reality of sport. So a big up to Karen on what she does for Mpasho as well, and for some of the other Radio Africa websites. But for you as well, Kalondu, you do such a fantastic job. I watched your interview with Shafi. I don't know whether he was honest, but he's still my guy. So keep it up, and thanks for inviting me. I've enjoyed this.
I have enjoyed this as well, apart from the ish and stuff like that. But thank you so much.
Arsenal's newest fan.
Yes, I am Arsenal's newest fan. Thank you so much, Carol Radull.
Thanks, Kalondu.
We appreciate, and that's Kara Radull. Everybody, thank you so much for keeping it here at Mpasho. We give you exclusive content with great celebrities. Let's do this next time, everybody. Asanteni sana for keeping it Mpasho. Thank you, and bye. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.